tonight in a reasonable event. Welcome. I'm Susan Cole. I'm the chair. I'm hoping that my co-chairs, Mark Amoruso and Megan McHugh, are here. I think Megan may be a little late, and the rest of the community board. This is just before we start, I have sent out to all members a copy of the resolution I would like you all to read and send your comments to Jennifer and to me, so that next February we could have a clean resolution, have any questions, so I could present it. We could present it to the board in February. I would like to say two things. One is that I want to do this before the summer fait accompli on open air dining happens, and I want us to be able to put in our 2 cents. And the biggest concern Tammy has stated, and I totally agree, is the Department of Transportation is not anywhere we can go to complain, and having them in charge of this puts the community at a terrible disadvantage, because we need either Consumer Affairs or somebody else, or however you want to do it, but that has some teeth for us as community and quality of life issues and all this. And we, of course, want businesses, but they are in many communities and in many buildings where people live, and we want to protect our community as well. So please, please, please read it. Send any comments and see if you can figure out something other than DOT for us to propose, or how we would propose monitoring this. Rather than bother us tonight, I just want you to all please read it, okay? Give me your words, please. Raise your hand and say, yes, yes, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so let's go to the first item on the agenda, which is this liquor license at 89 South Street. They had come, which one is it? Is it Carne Mare or is it Mr. Dips, Jen?
They're two separate 30-day notices. We can go with the first one, Carne Mare.
Yeah.
We have Barbara here with us, so I'm going to move her to panelist in a second so she can speak.
Where is Carne Mare?
That's at 89 South Street.
It's on the pier?
It's on the pier.
Okay. I don't think I've ever been there. Maybe I have. I just don't know.
It's that first corner that you see. Like if you're walking to the pier, it's the first corner, I guess, like bottom right-hand side if we're looking at the pier like that.
Thanks, Michael.
And okay. Susan, hi, it's Barbara. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi. You wouldn't have ever been there because neither of both things I'm talking about, I might save you some time by doing this. Both Carne Mare and Mr. Dips are the same applicant. Both at different times appeared before the community board. We came to agreeable stipulations. There was zero controversy. We submitted to the State Liquor Authority. Both received conditional approval. So we're at the tail end of getting our licenses. We extended the approval because due to COVID, nobody wanted to open the 2 new premises, understandably. And in the interim, the CEO of the upper parent company, Howard Hughes Corp., stepped down.
Right.
We notified the SLA of him stepping down, which, in my opinion, and I've made it clear, I'm not, talking behind the SLA's back, in a very, what I find to be unreasonable move, they said, because of the departure of the CEO, we'd like you to withdraw both applications and resubmit them. And that required re-notification. Now, I tell you this because there is a commitment to open Mr. Dips in March and Carne Mare in April. They're the same co-licensees. So it's HHC and their co-licensee is basically, Andrew Carminelli's group, the Dutch and Locanda Verde and those places. So
okay.
That's why we're here, yeah.
Do we have your information, just so we do quickly our due diligence and look at the hours of both? I think the Mr. Dips is what is it, ice cream or liquor?
No, well, Mr. Dips was a burger and shake place.
That's
they're going to offer alcoholic concoction. So their
Okay, right.
hours were 10 to 1, Sunday through Wednesday, 10 to 2, Thursday through Saturday. I have the skips too that I attached to the notice, which are all still perfectly agreeable.
Okay,
Carne Mare is a upscale chop house, steakhouse. It's 2 stories, and they're 10 to 2 every day.
I remember them. I'm going to ask the committee, I asked Barbara to come in so that we would do our due diligence, but I remember them and I don't have any trouble with the CEO who stepped down and blah, blah, blah. Everything basically is the same. I do not feel we have to belabor. Does anybody have a question or a concern?
I see Karen's hand is up.
Yeah, I see her. What's up, Karen? Unmute yourself, or Jen will unmute you.
Okay, thanks. Really just one. I know there are proposals for residential buildings really right across the street, I think, from the pier. And I'm just wondering what the effect on people who might be living there, unless I've got the geography wrong.
I'm going to let Barbara answer that, but I'm going to just interject. I don't think they're residential right across from these two places, but Barbara, correct me.
Yeah, my understanding is, and I'm sorry, I don't think that I'm disoriented, that they don't face the residential side. The actual massive building is so large, and these are different units on the opposite side.
Okay. Okay.
Which building are you talking about? The new proposed towers that are never going to be built? Well, they're never
Yes.
going to be built.
Okay.
But they're proposed for Beekman Street
I
anyway.
know. All right, so can I, hi, Miriam, can I have an approval for all of this? Does anybody have any trouble? Anybody else have any questions? Jen, you want to go through and give us a roll call quickly? I know how we'll do it. Anybody against these two licenses? Any abstentions? Any recusals? I will take it everybody's in favor. Okay, there you go.
Thank you so much.
Barbara, you take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you, everybody. Okay, next, Jen.
Okay, next we have 111 Worth Street for LM Eatery Corp. So we have, I believe, JU, so I'm gonna unmute them.
Okay, can you put up the information on your
Will do, yeah.
screen, please?
Hi, Jay, can you hear us?
So glad.
Yes, hi, how are you?
Perfect, okay. I'll have your presentation ready for everyone to view. So as I go through the presentation, you can also speak at the same time.
Okay. We are applying for the tavern wine license. The premises is it's a delicatessen with 5 tables and 14 sittings, and it's about 1,800 square feet with a 700 square feet kitchen area. We're serving the food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Business operating hours is 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, but now we close on Saturdays too, and Sunday we closed.
So it's, let me understand, 5 a.m. in the morning to 2 p.m. daily?
On
Hi, Jean.
Saturday.
Thank you. She just put it.
5 a.m. Okay, 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. from Monday through Friday.
Okay, and Saturday, 5
a.m. to 2 p.m.
Okay.
on Saturdays, but now because of the COVID, we closed on Saturday and Sunday.
But we would approve it for when and if you can open on a Saturday.
Okay.
I mean, that's how we will do it, and we will put it in the resolution. Is there any outdoor seating?
No, we didn't put out any outdoor sittings.
Okay, and you don't intend to?
No.
Okay, we'll put that down too. 111 Worth is on, what's the big cross street near it?
I believe it's a Broadway. It's
Yeah,
about
I
like
believe it is too.
way from Broadway.
And it was has it always been Elam Eatery? What was it before?
Mr. Park is the president. He's been in business since August 2016. So he's
Okay.
been there for 5 years.
Uh-huh. What would Mark ask? I'm trying to think. Thank you. When do you expect deliveries? What time? I don't think it's pretty residential there. I don't know. Karen,
Yes,
Jean?
it is. I believe it's directly across from 26 Federal Plaza.
It's Lafayette Street.
Yeah, it is the other end of the block. It's in a residential building.
Okay. So what time, are you here, Mark?
Yeah. On the application, he indicated for deliveries, he wrote during business hours. So we can't have deliveries at 5 a.m. So we have to adjust that. There'll be activity there at 5 a.m, but it shouldn't be deliveries and truck noises and such.
So can we have him, can you agree that we will put in the stipulation that you will have deliveries at 7 a.m., Mark? Is that what we usually do?
No, that's fine.
Yeah, it's 7 a.m. On Monday through Friday, and then I think on Saturday, I think we have 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. I can't remember
8
now.
a.m. I think it's 8 a.m.
Yeah, and then Sunday, no, unless
No.
unless they have an
Well,
emergency or
He's
something.
not going to be open on Sunday.
Yeah,
all
well, they
right.
might want to be down the road.
Well, I doubt it. That's such a dead place on Sundays. Trust me, I walk it all the time. Even
Yeah,
when,
I know. It's not going to get any better.
no, I don't. Not for a while. Let me mute this. Hold on.
Can we ask until what time will they deliver goods and supplies and goods? From when until what time? So let's say Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. until
Until when will you have goods delivered, sir?
Okay, usually come in the morning, but during the daytime they are busy, so they are not really taking any deliveries.
Well, shall we give you till what, noon? Well, it's busy down there. It's hard to get deliveries with the federal. What? Shall we say no deliveries after 1 p.m.?
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Mark, take down your hand so I won't call on you again. Please. Thank you. If not, can I have anybody object to this? If I hear no, any abstentions? Okay, all in favor, I would imagine. Okay, so let's move on. You've got it, sir. We'll send you, you'll get
Thank you very much.
stipulation and you'll sign it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So the next one I want to remind everybody is 316 Greenwich Street. Are you here, Frank?
he is, I'll move him to panelist.
Happy for everybody.
Hi, Frank. Let me remind everybody that this was the place, it's in Independence Plaza. It's on the bottom. I walk by it all the time. We were very skeptical of them and they withdrew, if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct, Frank? They withdrew the application?
I think we tabled it, but okay.
Whatever, even if we tabled it, because they wanted to open a wine and beer place for parents, a childcare place. That's why it was called Cocoon. And Karen and a number of other people had some questions around this and who was going to be in charge and blah, blah, blah. So they have no longer are going to be a place for children, if I'm correct. Frank will correct me in a minute. And they want a beer and wine license for this place. Now, I'd like to just preface this to the committee, and then Frank can speak, and then we'll have, I think there may be some community members. But a number of residents have communicated with us, and their concerns are, number one, there's never been a place, I believe, that served hard liquor there. Although it's beer and wine now, they can eventually get a liquor license, hard liquor. And in addition, once you have established a place there, it's very hard to get rid of it. You can keep, I think, beer and wine for a long time, but I'm not sure. I'll let Frank speak to those things. But the community expressed concern about, I mean, it's a residential, it's Independence Plaza, about noise, being on the street. And I believe they have outdoor space that goes up to the sidewalk that's part of the building property line that the owner has given them. And remember, somebody can take over this license and then come and they can sell it, they can do whatever, and come back for a liquor license. And the SLA in this day and age is more than likely to grant them it. So that I'm just saying to the committee, I think issues of hours and what they can and can't do should be thought about when we make this resolution. That's my preface. Go to it, Frank.
Tony, do you want to respond? Jennifer, is Tony in?
I see them. I'll move them up to panel so they can speak as well.
Right. Thank you.
Well, good, Frank.
Thank you. You too, Susan.
Hi guys. If you can actually put the video on, I can show you our kitchen, so you get a better idea what it looks like.
That would be great. Go on, Jen.
If you like, I have your presentation ready for everyone to view. If I can pull that up, or if you like, I can pass presenter roles to you, Tony, so you can, whichever is the case, whichever one's best.
Yeah, it's probably better this way. Do it right? Okay. So this is actually our kitchen, and this is just like the island table. This is our coffee station, which we're allowing members to serve themselves. This is actually the wine refrigerator. Putting wine and beer together, one on each side. But that's the extent of it. I mean, this is basically for classes or events that we have. We have, sorry, a little slower, but it's here's the refrigerator. But this is basically a kitchen that's kind of like our second home. We're not planning.
So, Tony.
Yep.
Pardon me for interrupting. Tell us what the concept is, because I'm confused. What are you? You're you're back to the original play place for parents to come and have a wine or a beer?
Yes, we're a place that we're trying to create a community, and basically parents who want to bring kids here for classes, for events, or just to socialize together. We created pods for parents who aren't as comfortable socializing with other people yet. As they gradually get comfortable, because we do health checks here, we check your temperature, we sanitize all the time. We have cleaners on staff 24/7, basically cleaning the place up. And basically, the kids can socialize here, have events here, have like classes. Here's a perfect example. This is our before baby room, and this is basically for newborns. We actually give classes for families who can't afford it. So we have a program, Pay As You Go. And basically, our membership will pay for families who are not able to afford to get the proper care and information for how to take care of your babies. And members who also have new babies it's free to them as well. So we do have classes that are part of our program, and we have classes that are from outside programs like Nori Camp. We have parkour classes, we have yoga classes. So we're we're a space that we're basically getting a community together.
Karen,
Yeah. Tony used the word member, which makes me think that this is some kind of club with membership requirements. So is that the case? Do people have to join the club in order to use the facilities, or can anybody in the neighborhood just come in and use them?
Anybody can.
We are.
So what is this thing about members?
We're members, a membership program space. So basically, you would have to become a member in order to come here. But if for the before and after baby program, we do have non-members that can come to the space as well to get that care.
And how does one become a member? What does it cost and so on?
We have a 12-year commitment, and it's about $600 a month. And this helps us allow us to give free classes that are part of the program. I think I have Carl and Karina.
Yep.
So I have a team here that you'll see Carl, also the co-founder. We have Karina, one of the educators, also Sasha as well. So there's a lot. They can actually explain to you the programs that we're creating.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm one of the founders, Carl. And on the call, we wanted to make sure that we were represented by all the relevant people from Cocoon so that any questions you have can be answered. So this would include Sasha, who's our general manager. She comes with a lot of education experience. We have also Karina, who is our program and events manager, who's put together a wonderful program for both kids and adults that are targeted towards family events. So we'd love to sort of answer any of your questions you have about Cocoon, because we understand it's fairly different. It's not a childcare center. It's not a school. It's very its own family space that is membership based.
So to go to Karen's point, if I may, before I call on Mark and Francis. So I come in and I want to look and I want to attend a program with my child. I become a member. That's how I can attend a program with my child. Or do I get to pay for the program I want to go to and not become a member? I'm like, I can't.
Right. That's a great question. Susan, I'd love to answer that for you.
Okay.
In order to use the space, you have to be a member.
Okay.
The only exception we have is if you are taking advantage of our before and after baby courses, because these are created to be very inclusive in the way they are priced, to provide very essential care and support for new mothers, to guide them through, that birthing journey, and just provide some like community-backed support. So that before and after baby program is the only scenario when people are in our space who are not members. That would be probably less than 2% of our overall business. The remaining 98% is very much membership based.
Okay. Let
For the beer and wine license, it would really just be catering to our members only.
I understand. Well, pre and postnatal, maybe pre was not going to drink beer if you're doing your classes right, but that's beside the point. Or wine. Francis, then Mark.
When do you plan to open?
We actually opened on November 9th.
You opened
So
already?
we've been open about 2 months already.
Okay. Have you in your package submitted an outline of exactly these? I think I asked this question before about seeing a copy of the actual programs that you have. You say you have these programs. I want to see a description of the program.
Oh. Actually, even better than that, I've got the program and events manager. She comes with a lot of experience, and I'd love for her to just take the mic and take you through it.
Absolutely, Carl. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Karina. As Carl mentioned, I am the events and program manager at Cocoon. And so our programming is really geared for everyone in the family. We have classes for little ones as well as workshops for the adults. And our programming changes seasonally to respond to what's happening kind of outside. We're very focused on making sure that our program is connected to nature. Our philosophy is rooted in Montessori and Reggio. So the programming, you know, will depend on like, as I mentioned, what's happening in the outside environment. But we have classes such as Spanish, art, we have mindfulness, yoga, STEAM, bio, art. We have a preschool prep program. So this is for families who will be starting a preschool program and who would like to get some kind of taste or a glimpse of what that would be like. And we work with families on dealing with separation and with building routines for little ones. So our programming is pretty diverse and we're really responding to what the needs of the community are. You know, we hope to add a dance class. We have music classes, soccer, as Carl or Tony mentioned, we also do something called parkour. So, you know, it's really kind of like pick whatever you are interested in. And then, you know, we find a way of providing programming for that.
Okay. Do you have a
sorry,
schedule? Do you have a schedule so that if I wanted to look at it to see generally, you know, how many times a week you offer this class, how many of this and that and the other?
Absolutely, Francis. So if you go to our website, all of our courses are listed on our website. And it comes with descriptions of each of the classes, the age groups for the classes, the times, and the day that they are offered.
So I have a question, if I may. I'm going to interrupt everybody. You've been open since November. So what is your membership to date? How many people have joined?
Right. We have a small community that's growing right now. We're excited to be delivering them a very safe space. So while we don't really share the exact member numbers, we're excited to share that we've got classes that are being filled. A lot of families who are really strongly appreciating that out of the pandemic, we're a bit of this shining moment of spring sprouts. For them, it's giving some families a lot of hope. There are a lot of families who have left our neighborhood, left our zip code. I'm a resident in North Battery Park. And when I look around the buildings, I'd say at least 1/3 of families have left, if not more. Those who have remained are working from home, working in their tiny little apartment, and have very little trusted care because a lot of caregivers are also either not deemed safe to work in your space or are hard to come by. So having a safe space where, up to date in the last 2 months, we've had 0 reported positive cases in our whole space because we take several safety precautions such as health declarations that every member fills out when they enter the space, temperature checks, hand sanitizer stations throughout. We're a very clean and safe space, and having this huge space that is catered to families, with the programming for the little ones and community building for other parents, it's really been a bit of a savior. And we've gotten nothing but really positive feedback from a lot of parents who are just very glad that we're in the neighborhood. In fact, I had a parent who came to me this morning who said, if not for Cocoon opening, we definitely would have left New York. So we get a lot of comments like that.
So if you can't give me your membership, what's the maximum amount of people having those spaces?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we are going by CDC guidelines for our space, and we're maintaining well below that capacity at the moment. Our building capacity allows at any one point in time over 350 people. And we haven't even gotten close to reaching even 1/3 of that number in our space. So we've been maintaining a very safe capacity. it helps having a large space that goes over 2 floors and is 18,000 square feet in size. And we're constantly checking our numbers. We do a daily count check of every person who's in our space, and we keep a capacity control as well, just to make sure that we're meeting CDC guidelines in terms of social distancing.
I'm going to call on Francis. You have any more questions?
No, I'm on the website now looking at it. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Susan, can I add something?
Mark, I see your hand, Mitch and Mariama. Mark has a hand up.
So the public assembly is 250?
Mhm.
Is that correct?
That's what it seems to be. That's what they stated.
It's 250. Okay. How do you guys monitor alcohol intake of the parents? Just because a parent is with their child doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be responsible drinkers. Unfortunately, I've seen this and so what is your policy? How do you monitor this? Do you have a drink limit? How are you working this out? So the safety of the child is obviously paramount.
So when we decide to start selling wine there, we would have the front desk as people who serve it.
Just hold it for 1 second. Someone has a mic open there who's typing. I can barely hear the applicant. You know who that is? Turn it open mic. Please turn it off.
Go on.
So the wine fridge and the cooler is actually locked, and the only way to when we decide to start selling to members, they have to go to the front desk in order to order a drink, and basically we would then bill it to their account, and we can monitor how many they have so far based on that. And once we realize that they are having a little too much, then we will cut them off, and we will have documents to say we have the rights to not serve you anymore, for the safety of the child.
So what do you do if you realize that a parent has had too much to drink? What would be the disposition of the child? How would you help with that? They could be carrying these infants in these front carriers that are attached to the chest, and if you're stumbling around, the first thing that's going to hit the ground is the baby, is the infant. So what are you going to do in these situations? I'm not suggesting calling the police, but there's probably a much better way to for them to agree to have someone get them, or that they will stay as part of their membership agreement. What were you going to do in those situations?
He's going to make sure that no one's overserved to begin with.
Yeah, but that's good to say, but that doesn't necessarily always happen in practice.
Hi, I can speak to that one. My name is Sasha. Nice to meet you all. I'm the general manager. So we are very much a family space, and since we have such a close-knit group so far, we've gotten to know the members pretty well, and we feel very comfortable with the relationship and the culture that we're generating at Cocoon in confronting our members if a situation arises, and to be as honest and clear as possible. I also have bartended, back in the day. For years, I was a bartender myself and Karina. So we have a lot of hospitality service. So we're very, very clear on what an overserved person may look like, or what they may not be showing. But we also have a lot of training and practice in handling those situations and how to de-escalate them, and possibly suggesting, calling the partner if they're not available and having them come. We have everyone's contact information. So we would have those numbers on hand if that were to be the case. But we'd also just have a kind of conversation with the member, and just say, we also have a kindness contract. So that would be kind of breaking that kindness contract. It would be disrespecting our space and, kind of going against that pretty much. So it would be something that we would have a discussion. If this was something that happened repeatedly, then there would possibly be grounds to, have them not be a member anymore. But we don't foresee this happening because we're not really going to be having, raging parties, but we understand that, some people might participate a little bit more than others. But we definitely don't have a problem confronting those situations head on and just having an honest conversation where it's not appropriate behavior. And, we have a certain respectability that we want to maintain in our space.
I understand everything you just said. And that the X factor here is that this is not a bar or a nightclub or a restaurant where you can take someone aside. The X factor here is that you're going to have to do all those things when they're with their child. So I'm not sure I'm getting an answer to the question of the safety of the child is the most important thing. Not that they broke their agreement or you can have a conversation with them. What are you going to do to make sure that that nothing happens to the child during these processes, conversations, or these kind of things? Because it's not like you have a bouncer and be good or get out or whatever, or try to de-escalate. There's a child in between you, maybe an infant, so it's a lot different.
We will also have at some of our events, obviously not all the time, but at some of our main happening events, which are the events that focus on the whole family, we will also be providing childcare, which will be a perk for our members where they're able to kind of take a step back and have someone who's minding the child while they're, engaging in whatever the activity is. So that will be an option as well. So that can address, I think part of what you're asking about having the children, obviously be for their safety are at the front of our minds. I don't know if that helps with.
Yeah, and I also wanted to add, I want to emphasize one of Sasha's points before, which is we're a really small community. We really know the parents in a level of detail where we know the spouse's phone number, for example, contact information. We even know the caregiver's contact information. So if there was ever a situation where the parent who was in the care of the child was, deemed unable to continue the care of that child, we would immediately call the other parent involved. So that's one other great thing about having this membership-based hub where safety is a big priority, is that we have a lot of contact information that we can tackle onto. I also want to just mention that we think that the risk, while it exists, that maybe a person drinks more than they should with their child, we think that risk is really low because we're not a bar, we're not a whiskey tavern, we're really just a family event space, like a family space. And the occasion when a person would drink is really limited. I mean, even our opening hours, like right now, we're only open until 5 p.m., for example, and we would, only have like the occasional like family event where we may go towards like the 7 p.m. closing time or 10 p.m. But it's very rare when we'll actually have these kind of events. Just the reason why we're applying for this beer and wine license is so that we're able to serve, obviously, like in a very controlled fashion in the event that we have an event like this.
Mark, can I move on? I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's
yeah.
It's kind of half answered. I don't think they're not being evasive. I just don't know if there is an answer that perhaps, but
Mark, if you don't mind, I'd like to add just one more thing. I worked for many years in hospitality. I've probably worked every position at the front of a house of the restaurant, hostess, waitress, bartender, bar manager, all of that. So I definitely have had an opportunity to work with people who are in this kind of environment. And so I know how much people should be drinking within a certain amount of time. But even more beyond that, I've worked as an educator in schools for many, many years after those years of hospitality. And I've worked with parents and children in spaces where there are events where parents are drinking while their kids are around. Throughout my years, I've never had the experience of a parent over drinking. I think that it's safe to say that parents probably drink around their children often, whether it's at home or whether they're out to eat at a restaurant, and their best interests of their child is always at heart. So as Carl was saying, I really feel like while this might have an opportunity for a rift, I don't see that happening any more likely in Cocoon than it would be even within their, at a relative's birthday party or at a, night out for dinner. As Carl also mentioned, our operating hours are only until 5 p.m. and on the weekends.
At the moment, you have asked to 7 and 10. So I understand that. Thanks, Karina. I really, I do appreciate it. I want to move it along a little bit. I'm not sure. Before I call on Frank, I want to call on Mariama and then Mitch. I'm not sure we can. You're going to be able to get to. I think it's let me just lay it out. I think it's a very hard concept for people to put their heads around. That's what I'm saying. Not that you're not entitled to, but I think it's a hard concept. Mariama, you go, and then I'll call on Mitch.
Thank you, Susan. So as often happens, Mark asked one of my questions already. It was kind of in tandem with 2 or 3 other things. So the first being, and again, it was kind of in tandem with that. So like in consideration that you do not have a bouncer, this isn't a club or anything. So there's really nobody monitoring anything that's happening there. Coming from a background of having been PTA president or vice president at almost every school down here, we at least used to have a regulation where the parents and the children the parents could not be drinking with the children present. So that was one concern that I had. When we had events, they had to be somewhere where the children were going to be separate. So like the children weren't invited to the auctions, for example. We'd have those at night and we'd serve or we'd sell drinks. And another question was in consideration of the COVID pandemic with bars and restaurants, indoor dining and drinking being closed to restaurateurs. By what permissions and or through what agency is it that you are able to offer drinks in an enclosed space during the pandemic?
Can I help answer that second question, and maybe my team can consider the first question while I tackle you. Thank you very much, Mariam, for your question. I
can answer the question.
Let Frank answer the question, Carl.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Please, it's easier for him.
Under the current restrictions, we can.
Right.
I just want to also add though, thank you, Frank, but that's not really in the ethos of what Cocoon is about. Like we actually want to make sure that we are creating a very safe space. Again, I want to reinforce how proud we are about our safety measures and that we've had 0 positive cases in our space and that we're making a big impact on families' lives. And if there is a restriction on indoor drinking or indoor dining, we're not going to be serving beer and wine either. But what we understand is that this licensing process takes several months anyway. So we wanted to get the process started. We felt it was important to get it started right now. But we're not intending, like if we had a beer and wine license today, for instance, we would not be serving beer and wine in our space at all.
Well, they can't. Okay, I understand that, Carl, and thank you.
So I thought Frank said you can. So through what permission is that you can?
They can't. He said he can't.
You can't. Okay.
They said they can't. They're not going to do anything that's going to jeopardize their license. They're not.
Okay. So so your business would be based on the same timeline as restaurants. When they're allowed to have indoor dining and drinking, then you would be. Is that correct?
Like as long as, and it could even be a higher bar, to be honest. Like we really want our members to be safe. We want to create a safe environment. Like what the city does with its decision on restaurants, there's no correlation to us because we're not a restaurant or a bar. With that said, if they lifted the ban on indoor drinking, I mean, we would consider that in our decision. But if we still felt that infection rates were high and that the vaccinations were not out in widespread form enough, then it might be safer for our community, our members, that we don't serve beer and wine inside our space until until we feel that it is safe to do so.
Okay, I understand that. Mariama, do you have anything else? Remember,
The other question about the school-age children being there at the same time as the drinking.
Well, but it's a membership club. You have to remember, it is not a school. It is a club. So it's membership. And I guess, and Frank can correct me if I'm wrong, it is a private space where parents can take their children. Am I correct, Frank?
It's a private space, and what I was going to say before to Karen's question, membership drives this. This is the thing that helps us pay our bills, helps us program and do what we do. However, if someone came to the door and asked to come in, they would, of course, be welcomed. They would buy a membership for that day. Because we'd have to, you have to. And plus, it's good for us. When people get to see us for a day, it may very well translate into an annual membership.
But
primarily, we're membership driven.
All right. So if you answered another question of mine, excuse me, Mariama, that if someone came in and wanted to participate, they would pay not your prenatal and your postnatal, but they would pay a fee.
A person couldn't come in and just partake of either alcoholic beverages or food. They can only partake of our classes or our offerings.
Well, we'd have to put that in the resolution. I understand.
I just also wanted to add a little bit, sorry, Susan, just very quick, because I think it's important for the committee to know that the area where the kids are is in a very separate section. It's behind the front desk, whereas where we intend to serve beer and wine is in the front foyer area, which is where Tony showed just now. Right behind there is the front desk, and that is where the kids, play areas and amenities and classes are. So it's in a very, very separate space from where the beer and wine fridge is.
Okay, I think that really clarifies what I was thinking about in terms of the school, because you're talking about classes and talking about beer and wine. Yeah. Even if it's a club, you're teaching right there, right? So yeah. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Hi, Susan. I have a couple of questions and a couple of comments after looking on their website, which was actually kind of impressive. But just for my own knowledge, Susan, I wanted to ask you something first. Is there something where you can approve just a wine license, or it's automatically beer and wine that can't be separated?
It's beer and wine. That's the way the license reads.
Okay,
Frank can correct me if I'm wrong.
They couldn't sign a stipulation saying just wine, and if the beer seems to be a problem with some of the members.
I don't think we can anticipate that.
Okay, so then I just have a couple of questions and I think Frances said that she was looking at the website. I went on the website. It almost looks like too good to be true. It looks like a small version of Manhattan Youth for little people. I looked on the courses, like there was educational courses that are listed. Yeah. There's, music and dance courses for little people, not like, a discotheque. I saw the Spanish course. I saw the yoga. I saw the parkour course.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, I don't know if it was Tony or his other partner, there was one thing you had on your website that says, if you can't afford, you can pay as much as you can. So
right.
You can kind of
that's on the front page.
Yeah, I'd love to share a bit about that. Thanks for that question, Mitchell. And
$600, like not everybody in Independence Plaza that has a new baby can afford $7,200 a year.
Well, and in addition, it says that you have to have an annual commitment. So what does that mean?
Yeah. Okay. So why don't I just sort of help tackle some of these questions one by one?
Right ahead. And I want to move it along, not just for Frank, but I want the community to be able to speak.
I have one more question after this about the application. But let me hear this.
Yeah, so the price of our membership is from $550 a month, as you saw, and there is a 12-month commitment. But obviously, in current times, it's very difficult to run a business like ours with parents leaving in droves out of the city, as you probably are aware.
Right.
Families really are leaving in droves. It's making a business like ours the more challenging to operate. So we offer in our commitment that families are allowed to cancel their membership without meeting that 12-month commitment if they move to a different city, for example, right?
Oh, well, so that's see, to me, when I see pay as much as you can, that doesn't sound like what you just described, where you can.
No, I'm addressing the question about the 12-month commitment.
Well, okay,
I'm trying to address about 5 different questions right now. So let me just take, and then I'll go to yours right now. Is that okay, Mitchell? So your question about the pay as you can and also the accessibility. I wanted to just give a bit of backdrop, because the reason why we created Cocoon as a very mission-based company is that we wanted to make an impact on the way families can receive affordable and inclusive support in that before and after baby stage, that prenatal and postpartum care support. Yes. My wife and I, and also my business partners, when we conceived this idea, we were really inspired by what was happening overseas, where you're surrounded immediately by a lot of support and care, and that is accessible. In America, we have to debate with our employer just to get family leave, to take care of a little one. Yeah, it's not mandated. So we wanted to make an impact. And the way we felt the right way to make an impact was to create a program for before and after baby classes. These are prenatal and postpartum classes, and to provide pricing that is a pay-at-your-wish scale. Now, that pay-at-your-wish scale, right, is as low as $5 an hour for a before baby class, $5 an hour, and as high as $60 an hour. But the only way we could actually make this business work in a way that provides that inclusive support to people who can only afford that $5 amount is if we created a membership base and charged $600 a month to families who can actually afford paying that fee. And that fee allows us to basically provide that extra access to families in need.
But those classes on your website, you have before and after, and it's all coming soon. You haven't even started those classes yet.
We actually have started that. In fact, tonight is the first class, and I'm really proud to share that started at 6 p.m. We had over 8 participants, all on a Zoom call right as I'm speaking right now. Out of those 8, I'd say at least 6 of them are on the pay-as-you-wish scale and paying as little as $5 an hour. They're families from Brooklyn, from Queens, and so on, who are not in the Tribeca neighborhood, who aren't sending their kids to private schools. They are people who actually need this kind of support, and we're able to provide this level of care because of the membership that we charge to our families here.
All right, Mitch, I'm going to move on.
I had one more question. I was letting him answer. I had one more question about the application.
What?
Susan, before we go on, can you clarify exactly the scope of what we need to look at for purposes of this license? Are we looking at the business model entirely and judging, or what is it?
Well, I think that's part of the problem, I think, Megan, and it's gotten all tied up. They want to do a beer and wine. That's the license they want. It is in a space that is for children and for families, basically. And it's a membership organization with some kind of sliding scale, and they're still working it out. So the real issue when push comes to shove, everyone, is they are, and before I get to the community, because I want to do that, is it viable? I don't know whether it's viable. It is what they're applying for. They want beer and wine to be able to run their concept. That's what we're allowing when we approve or disapprove this, and the concept is tied to the beer and wine. It's not just a delicatessen or whatever. It's a concept where you take your children, you have membership for a family, and you get to drink a glass of wine.
I'll just say this. I don't know if it's their concept, whether we think it's a good one or not, whatever. I will say this is very reminiscent of when my friends have children, what they seek out. For example, the parent happy hour where they can take their stroller and have a drink and have a space. You can't take your child to a bar, but you just want to have a glass of wine with your friends. And it incorporates, it's bringing back a lot of things when my friends became first-time parents, what they were looking for, as well as places to go and have play dates for their children, etc. So I just don't find it so offensive.
Well, thank you, Megan. You're the one on this committee, so you have a vision than some of us old farts. All right.
Actually, can I add one thing to that? Just really quick.
Well,
Sorry, that I think Megan kind of like nailed it, and we're just trying to kind of offer what the community is looking for, and that what we always tell the community is when we're getting tours that we're trying to be your second home or your home away from home. So that's kind of exactly, it's very laid back, kind of exactly what you're saying.
we're not here totally to, it's, you can see by the group of us, and bless Megan, that it is a hard concept to take in. So, we don't want to prevent you from having a career and trying it, but it's also what it means for the future if you aren't successful. We want you to be successful because that would be fabulous. But I think the obligation is to look to the future. Frank, before I call on people in the community.
Susan, I've been waiting patiently. Everybody
No,
else.
Mitch, I'm not going to let you ask right now your last question. I'm not, because I want to let Frank speak. Ask it very quickly, Mitch. Just ask it.
No, I don't want to feel pressured. I'll wait.
All right, just wait, because I don't want to go on and on and on with this, but I will come back to you. How's that? I gave you my word.
No problem. It's not no problem, Susan.
Frank, do you have anything to say, or you're just hanging out here?
I'm hanging out. I'm looking forward to what Mitchell has to say.
Jen, is there anybody else
Yes.
out there?
We have an attendee by the name of Manny Cabrero. He has his hand up. I'm going to unmute him. If you could.
Okay, everybody except Mitch, take your hands down. Megan and Frank, but Mitch, you keep your hand up. So I call on you back.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Manny Cabrero. I happen to be the vice president of the Tenants Association at Independence Plaza that represents the plaza tenants, the townhouses, some of which sit right above this business, Cocoon. And my main concern is for the future of this license being given to this space. Businesses are failing left and right, and should Cocoon fail, we're going to have this license grandfathered in by perhaps another business that may be interested in beer and wine, and now can identify the space as a prospective space for themselves, maybe a restaurant or whatever it might be. I'm very concerned about that because of the residents that live right above this space. Also, I have some other questions. I used to be an educator in the past, and I'm wondering, what the concern is for children approaching parents with drinks. I'm concerned about a rental space for children's parties that is now going to include beer and wine. I'm concerned about parents drinking in a space like this, and if this is a good educational modeling for children. I'm wondering whether the programs of Reggio and Montessori like this idea of having liquor about their programs. I wonder if they know that this business is using wine and beer while they teach their programs. I'm concerned about the proximity to PS 150, which is just a few feet away. I'm concerned about these things, and frankly, because of that, I'm leery to have the community board grant approval to this business.
Thank you. I want to say this to everybody. All right. I'm not the moral police. Okay. None of us are here, whatever our sense of the concept or not. But I want to explain something to everybody. I understand the concerns, and we can make certain stipulations that I hope they will agree to. I can't we can't prevent the future, but we can set a stipulation regarding how we want this to be, and what we would or maybe would not approve in the future in our resolution. But I also want to say that we walk a very fine line here. And the fine line is, I don't want the SLA to approve this if we did not approve it without any stipulations. So we're always between a rock and a hard place. And I want everybody to remember that. So who else from the community would like to speak?
I don't see anyone else who has their hand up.
Diane Stein isn't there?
Yeah, they just raised their hand up. Let me unmute them.
I could address the Montessori question if you wanted.
Hi, Diane. Can you hear us?
Can I speak? Can I say something?
Diane, let Diane, Jean, and then I'll call on you, okay? Please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I guess first, I do want to echo Manny's first concern about the future. I know you said, and how you can, how you can stipulate
a hard one.
Future business from being grandfathered license, and also once you have a beer and wine license, it also becomes easier to grant a liquor license. And there could be, before the pandemic, there were a lot of places that were getting large event spaces. And again, this is, and also this concept, are they not, what about the prenatal classes? Are they're going to say if somebody comes in and they're not a member, are they not allowed to then participate in the drinking or the cafe part? How are they going to regulate that? That's the aspect.
I think what they said, Diane, very clearly is you can come in as a prenatal or whatever, that they were going to allow, you would pay for by class, and that they are only considering as 2%. That they don't see that as their big business. But somebody could come in and they would, whatever the fee is going to be, but they will charge something. Somebody has to mute themselves, please. So it's not a perfect world, Diane. I mean, this is a tough situation for all of us, but I understand the community's concerns, and we will try to address that in a resolution and a stipulation. But I don't want to keep going around and around. I can't get my head around it, but that doesn't mean anything. You understand? The real issue is the impact on the community, toys and whatever, and what the future will be if they sell this license, and what we will try to stipulate in our resolution around that.
Okay. All right.
That's all I can offer. I wish I could offer more. Let me call on Jean, and then I want to go back to Mitch, and then I want to end. Okay, thank you, Diane. Thank you for coming. Jake, are you unmuted?
Muted.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, when I listen to the people speak, it reminds me of a Saturday Night Live commercial where something is a floor wax and a food topping. It's neither, and I just can't get my head around it either. When I look at the hours, 10 o'clock at night is not a family place; it's a bar, and we have to do something about the hours. I think if they're talking about closing at 5, and that's something that makes sense. But at 10 o'clock with a beer and wine license, that's a bar. So it doesn't make sense. Also, looking at the website with a lot of things that are being promised, but I don't see it. I've walked by several times. It's empty. I don't see all the stuff that they're saying they're going to do. I don't understand why we can't give them, as we've done in the past, a year or 6 months to operate, and then come back and talk about possibly a beer and wine license, very limited, with very strict hours.
Okay, I hear you.
Can I respond to that?
Who wants to respond?
Okay, so if you look at our hours, you'll see that we're only open to 5. We're 8:30 to 1, and then 2 o'clock we close for cleaning, close at 5, and on Sundays and Saturdays we close at 1:30. When you walk into the space, if you're walking from the street looking here, we got rid of all of our cafe spaces, like the area where people would congregate and have their lunch, because the city decided that restaurants are no longer able to like have an inside eating. So we follow suit, and we got rid of all of it. So that's why this space looks empty. So from the outside looking in, yes, you will not see people here, but if you look further in, you will then see the families there, socializing. And then
I got it, Tony. I've got it. I don't want to cut you off. What I understand, what you have to hear is this is a very special circumstance because we're in the pandemic, but everybody's looking to when we're not in the pandemic and what we have to think about. So hold on. You've answered, you've done more than enough. We understand, I think most of us understand it, but there are these other concerns. So let me go back to Mitch, and then I'll call on you, but I got to get through this. I want to call on Mitch one more time, and then Michael.
Okay, I think somebody needs to mute their thing. You hear that background? Anyway, like I said, if everything on the website is accurate, it seems like a wonderful thing. The only question that I have, because I do respect the people that live around there and for the quality of life, on page 3 of your application, Tony, where it talks about outdoor seating, and you said the answer was seating within building line. So I'm just, if you can just kind of like clarify that.
Let me get the keys. We actually have.
Can you talk a little louder?
Oh, sorry. Let me just open the door and I'll show you outside right now, the current space. We have outdoor areas where we can see, but we're currently using it as kind of like a stroller parking area.
Because I could see that could be one thing that could be, a point of contention where everything else that I'm hearing indoors, I'm for.
Yes. So the purpose of having it outside is that when there are really nice days, parents are able to sit outside and still enjoy the outside.
Glad to hear you.
All of the area is actually built from parkour equipment.
Okay, I
and
understand.
We would actually we'll convert them to actually have classes outside as well.
That's okay, but you won't be having like events with the beer and wine outdoors.
No, we have events. It's going to be inside. We like to keep it contained.
Well, we'll put that in the resolution, Mitch.
Okay, then everything seems good. Like I just wanted to. I noticed that on page 3. So okay, fine.
Okay.
But if parents, so what happens when parents want to sit outside and have their lunch and also they want a glass of wine?
That's okay. Nobody's saying that. No, I don't think that's the issue. The issue is parties carrying on till 10 o'clock. I think we have to talk about hours, but let me go to Michael. Michael, go to it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Just a quick comment. I just wanted to say, I wanted to thank the applicant for their presentation and that I hear everyone's concerns, and I think, we can find ways to address them in the stipulations. But overall, I think it's nice to see local entrepreneurs opening new spaces in our district at a time when, a lot of storefronts are vacant. And so that's why I'm inclined to do anything that we can to support these guys, and I would be fine approving the request as it is.
Okay. So unless there's anybody else from the community, before you speak, Tony, you're on a roll, so leave it be for a little bit. I think the question to ask the applicant is there anybody else from the community, Jen? I don't want to ignore anybody.
I'm looking at the attendees list. I do not see anyone else's hands raised up.
Okay.
Manny Cabrera, but
Okay. Yeah, let's move on. I think the question becomes, Tony, what you live with for now, based on Jean's comment regarding time. Think that if you have a special event indoors with parents and children for a party, but don't think young children are going to stay till 10 o'clock. And I want, if we do this, it's not that we want you to be successful. So I'm trying to figure out what a reasonable time frame is, and that giving you a year or even through this pandemic, giving you a year to see what a later hour would be. So you can see where I'm going, Frank.
Wait 1 second. I'm sorry. I've had my hand up, Susan. I've tried to be very patient. There's no grandfathering on a wine and beer license. This place was licensed before as a supermarket with beer and wine product. If there were grandfathering, we wouldn't be having this conversation now. First off. Second off, the hours are very reasonable. The hours are 10 o'clock Friday and Saturday. It's 7 o'clock during the week. Why is it unreasonable that young parents can't have the opportunity to be out till 10 o'clock on a Friday night or a Saturday night when they're the ones who need a break? I raised 3 kids. I know what this is like. We're going to tell them that they can't have a glass of wine on a Friday or Saturday night? We're closing during the week at 7 o'clock. I think the hours are very reasonable. And I'm not losing my temper. I'm just cold in my office. They turned the heat off an hour and a half ago.
No, I don't take umbrage with you. You're one of my favorites, so it's okay. Listen, everybody, I'm going to go here and I'm going to propose this. I'd like to end this part of the meeting in 5 minutes at the most. If you don't like it, I think you vote against it. I'm hoping you'll vote for it because I think we should give them a shot. And Frank says, whoever would come in later on, Diane, to answer your question with a liquor license would have different stipulations and different requirements. So I am willing, with certain stipulations about who does what times and whatever, and we can go over it with them before our final meeting. Jen and I would send them, and Mark and Megan, we could all look at it, the stipulations and the resolution. I am inclined to allow them to go forward. That is my view. I think we would be remiss to be morally judgmental around this, and I think the SLA would approve it. So I would like to approve it with a variety of items that were talked about tonight. Give them their hours and let them move forward. If that's okay with everybody, I'd like to take a vote. Unless somebody has something terribly critical to say to me, I'd like to go forward. I'd like to let Frank go.
I think you should at least give them 9 o'clock.
Why? Why? Based on what rationale?
I find that a quibble. It's 7 o'clock every day except Friday and Saturday till 10. I think I'm not one to fight on hours, but I think it's a quibble for 1 hour, and I'd like not to do that. So if you can't vote for it at 10, I can't go along with changing for 1 hour. I really can't. It's till 7.
Yeah, I agree, Susan. I agree.
All right. Is that you, Michael?
Mark.
Thank you, Mark. So
I agree too.
I'd like to thank you, Michael. I'd like to take a vote. All right.
Can I ask a couple of questions? Go through the basics.
Language. Some language for whereas when you get a second.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. My first question will just be if the applicants are planning to hold promoted events, cover fee events, scheduled performances.
Thank you, Jen.
Can any of you principals answer that first question?
When you talk about scheduled performances, you're not talking about like our seminars and our classes and things like that, right? Because those would be scheduled.
Yeah, I don't think that they're referring to that.
We don't have any cover charges. Like for example, this Saturday we're having a kind of like a demo event, and we have different providers that we have, like the parkour classes, the soccer classes, and they're giving like 20-minute classes to members and possible outside members as well. But there's no cover charges. We're not looking to do.
There's no cover charge, but there would be scheduled performances because that's what we do, right?
We do have scheduled performances like on Fridays.
Not you, Tony. Not you, Tony.
Oh,
sorry.
Mute. You do have scheduled performances of sports or related to
educational.
You're not going to have
educational, not sports. It's educational.
It's a music class. It's called like Funky Fridays, and so we have people performing music for our members. That's like scheduled. We'll have like soccer, little soccer games between like our members. So those are scheduled, but nothing outrageous, nothing like we're gonna open the doors and music's blasting, nothing like that. We did have a marketplace where we invite small communities, small vendors who are like especially women-owned business to come in and open a marketplace there to sell their products. We're trying to help the community as well with that. Other than that, those are scheduled on a Saturday, but nothing really big and crazy.
But all of our classes will be scheduled, right?
Mostly classes, yeah, basic classes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions, Jen?
Just the delivery hours.
Thank you.
What times and on what days? Delivery hours for your own goods and services.
Oh, you mean for like delivery for liquor?
Liquor, food, anything.
Oh, well, we have people here at like 7:30, so we prefer to have it delivered as early as possible, only because we don't want delivery coming in with kids around.
But they don't want it. They don't want it too early.
Yeah. Oh.
7:30 a.m. Correct. Okay. And that's for all days of the week.
Pretty much.
That's on
Monday
to Friday.
Saturday and Sunday, Jen.
Right.
We'll make it later, but on the 5 days a week, 7:30 is okay.
Okay. And will you employ any sort of doorman, security personnel?
When we get to a point where we feel like security is an issue, we have people we are interested.
Can I just jump in there, Tony, real quick? Sorry. So right now, because we're trying to practice a very safe space and a secure space, we're going to be we have all the member information in our system. So anyone who walks in our door and gets through our front desk needs to be a member, needs to identify themselves, reach our front desk staff, literally check what booking they have made and check them off on our system. So we have a record of every single individual who comes into our space, not only for safety, but also for contact tracing and capacity planning. The need for security guard hasn't been there yet, but I just wanted to add that we do take security very, very seriously. And as a growing company, one of the measures we'll be introducing to our membership club in the next few weeks is that as a requirement that all members and anyone in our space who enters will need to carry a lanyard with a special Cocoon card on them, which they will scan on a machine, and that will then allow us to quickly identify them. So if you don't have a lanyard on you, you basically are not allowed to enter our space without it.
You have to show your. Yeah. Thank you, Carl. Anything else, Jen?
Thank you. One last question about the outdoor space. You said you're currently using that as a stroller parking area. Will that ever change?
Yes, I can answer that. When the weather gets better and the pandemic leaves, they want to be able to have, I don't know what it says on their application, I can't see it, a space for people, parents to sit out during the day, I guess, to their hours, and have a glass of wine or a beer or coffee or whatever. Am I correct, gentlemen?
Correct.
So those hours have to be put in there, Jen, and we have to make sure that our resolution or the stipulation talks to that space as well. Okay?
Okay.
All right, everybody. I'm going to call a question.
I don't know where else I wanted to add, Susan.
Yeah, what?
It was about my point. that I was making, that the applicant stated that they have policies and procedures in place to deal with any parent or other that might be intoxicated, whereas the safety of the child will be paramount or
Yes.
taken into account. Words to that effect. That they
Will-
indicated they have those policies.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So, anybody opposed to this? Please raise your hand or tell Jen.
Susan, is it okay if I do a roll call? Only
Go
because,
for it. Go
okay.
for it.
Somebody's call a question and someone second, please.
Call a question.
Seconded.
Thank you. Susan?
Yes.
Okay, Mark?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Daron?
Daron votes yes.
Okay. Francis?
Yes.
Michael?
I'm a yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Mariama?
Yes.
Joel's a call-in, so I'll have to unmute him. Joel, is that you? I've unmuted you.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me.
Okay. Do you vote in favor of or opposed to this application?
I'm opposed.
Opposed? Okay.
I vote no.
Thank you. Okay. William's not here. Pat?
Yes.
Callie? Callie logged off. Okay. Chow?
Yes.
Jean? No? Okay. And Karen?
I'm going to vote no. There are too many unanswered questions, and I'm concerned that this business is not doing well right now and is going to be relying on liquor to make up for the shortfall.
Wish we had liquor.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Karen. No, I respect everybody's opinion. Any more?
That's all. All the votes are in, and this resolution passes.
Okay. I wish you luck, guys. I hope it works.
Susan, we already voted, but I forgot something. So
What?
at the full board, Jen, can you just make a note that that there were some community concerns and what they were, and just add that to the resolution. But it has to be as
it will be in the
an
resolution.
amendment at the full board, because we already voted.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Okay. All right, Jen, the way I read it is that very quickly, there are license renewals for 105 Chambers and 85 West Broadway. Anybody have any trouble with any of those? We haven't had any complaints.
What is 85 West Broadway? I can't picture it.
It's the Tribeca Kitchen. They've opened up LLC.
Fine.
Okay.
No problem.
All right. And then there's they have there's part of it's part of a hotel. I didn't know that. What's the new LLC? Okay. So the next one, everybody, so we can get out of here at a reasonable time, please, is the Governor's Island, no less.
Yeah, so we have Heather Kirk with us. She's a panelist, so whenever she's ready to speak, she can unmute herself. Hi, Heather, can you hear us? Heather, are you there?
I have to tell you all, these are the most difficult meetings to have. Zoom is no picnic.
Is this better? Is here now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Go to
Okay,
it.
great.
Ed.
I
Let's
actually have.
put up- yeah, go on. Hello.
Hi.
Let's go put up the pictures so everybody has an idea where it is.
I'm missing two people from the team, Daniela and Janine.
Great.
Well,
I'm
if,
them as panelists right now. So, okay, great.
Thank you.
so let's put it up on the screen, Jen, so we can, so we can see the picture of it first, where it is, so everybody gets an idea.
Sorry, there are a lot of pages.
Is this the spa?
This is
Yeah.
the spa, yes.
So everybody, this is the spa when you get off the ferry. It's the buildings to the right. Am I correct?
Yes. Oh, there you go. Yes, the map's up.
Yes.
Yes.
And we approved the spa last year, and now you want to open a restaurant. Am I correct?
It's going to be a cafe.
Okay.
And I'll
Go through it.
I'll let Janine and Daniela introduce themselves as well. They're from the actual QC Term team. But it's going to be a cafe that's in the spa itself. So someone who comes in for their daytime experience can sit down and have a bite to eat, maybe between a massage and maybe a bath. And they can have a charcuterie and a glass of wine or champagne. So it'll be a very kind of controlled environment. There is some outdoor areas as well. So there's some, if you see the diagrams, there's some small seating that's in like this cafe area where people can sit. And then also they can go out to, there's 2 pools where they can sit and have a drink and a bite to eat as well. People won't be able to consume alcohol in all of the treatment rooms or anything like that. So it's going to be very limited. It's technically the first floor, like the ground floor is what we would call it.
Yeah. Oh, I want to go to the hours on the, Jen.
Heather, would you like me to handle this?
I'm sorry, I don't know who's speaking.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, hi. Okay, yes.
They are. Okay. So my question on the hours, ladies, is how the hell are you going to get back and forth when the ferry doesn't run?
That's a great question. So we've actually recently reduced the hours as a result of some negotiation with the trust, which is the entity that manages Governor's Island. So our hours of operation now will be Sunday through Thursday. We'll open at 10 a.m. and the last guest will leave at 9 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we'll open at 10 a.m. and the last guest will leave it at 10 p.m. We have negotiated ferry runs through 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and midnight Friday and Saturday. So the good news is we can get them there and back.
So on Friday and Saturday, the hours are from 10 a.m. till
10 a.m. until 10 p.m. And the ferry will run until midnight, which will give our management team an opportunity to close up, lock up, and catch a ride home.
And this is open to anybody. Somebody does not have to go to the spa to come over and have a drink and a sandwich, or do you have to go to the spa?
So the current plans for year one is that you do need to have purchased a ticket to the spa in order to have food and beverage or buy food and beverage. However, the trust, the management company for the island, has asked us if we have an opportunity to allow guests of Governor's Island entry to the spa. To the food and beverage area of the spa. So we're actually working on revising those plans so that we can open it up. Governor's Island is struggling to have some food and beverage tenants join.
All right. I'm going to, so we would change the hours. Anybody have any questions? Oh, Karen.
Okay, the ferry rides that you've negotiated for late night, are those only for your guests and employees, Or would those be for anybody who is on the island?
Anyone who's on the island.
Thank you.
I think they can't do it any other way, Karen.
Okay.
I think. Any other questions for anybody? Well, if I don't have any questions, and we've figured out the hours, are you going to have live music?
Yes.
Well, we will have live music. We're hoping to be able to host events and weddings and bar and bat mitzvahs and 50th birthday parties, once the city recovers from COVID. But obviously in year one, we don't expect to have any events.
Okay. Any other questions for anybody? Nobody's raised their hand. You don't know how lucky you are, ladies.
We do know how lucky we are.
All right. Will someone call the question and second it, please?
I'll call it. I call it.
Second.
Okay. Thanks, Karen. Jen, let's take our we don't need a voice vote. Let's do our usual, okay?
Okay, how you did it before, or?
Yeah, how I did it before.
Okay, you can go first if you'd like to, since you're.
Since I have a big mouth. Anybody who is against this motion? Any recusals? I'm then going to take it that we pass it. Good luck, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. The next batch is all these renewal licenses, the Malt House, Maiden Lane, the hotel. I haven't heard any complaints about anybody. Nobu, the Stone Street. So if there are no questions or anybody complains, we can just let those go. But I do have something to say to all of you before we end this meeting. And it is that you have all gotten a copy of that, of a resolution I tried to draft with Jen, and that I took to the executive committee. The executive committee didn't like it. Okay? And
why not?
Well, they didn't understand it, and they were all worried about the small businesses. And what this resolution is about, and I want you all to read it, call me, send me corrections, whatever, because I want to bring it up in February, at the February meeting. But I'm giving you ample time, and we'll have a discussion in a February meeting, is that this outdoor dining is going to become permanent. And if we don't go online stating our issues, we're going to be in big trouble. And Community Board 2 did it. They had a big resolution. Community Board 3 has also done it. Ours doesn't have to be super all extensive, but I think we have to go on record about quality of life issues, a variety of things that we're concerned about. Because, and I'd like to say that Tammy and I both agree that I want you to think about having the Department of Transportation being the group that monitors this is not good for us, because all they're concerned about is the street and they don't care about anything else. And we have to figure out whether it's it can't be just the SLA, whether it's, I don't know what group I want. I'm blanking out what the group I want to look at it is, but we have to figure out maybe
Consumer Affairs.
Consumer Affairs, perhaps, something that has some teeth that can help us, because DOT won't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have to think about what that is. DOT is only concerned with one thing. And, when you think about it, our sidewalk, everything's being taken over by these restaurants. They're getting a lot of space they're paying no money for. That's something else. But this is really for post-pandemic and what it means for us as a community and its impact on us. So please, everybody read it. Jen will get you the other resolution from CB2. It's a lot of they did a lot of stuff, but we tried to take some things from it and describe it. So please do look at it and let me know, or Mark or Megan, any one of us.
Susan, to your point about DOT, so we have a bar down here on Varick Street, and there's a bus stop there, and they built one of those shelters that are really basically enough indoor space like everyone else has, but the DOT told them they couldn't put it there. DOT could have easily moved the bus stop in this particular case temporarily, and they wouldn't do it. I had a friend has a bar uptown. They have one of those stupid bicycle racks where they shouldn't be in front of his bar. He has to have that moved temporarily so he can build a shelter outside so he can recoup some of his business, and they wouldn't do it. So the city, honestly, if they cared about small business, they would make the effort to do these little extra things instead of putting them in a bureaucratic nightmare and always say no. So it definitely can't be DOT, and I don't know whether we just need a new agency, God forbid. But the city, they just don't care. I mean, they honestly don't give a damn. From the mayor and the governor down. I don't want to get into the whole thing, but if they did, they would have, for these two restaurants, they would have accommodated them. It's an easy fix, particularly just moving a bus stop 20 feet south. And they wouldn't do it. So it's just disgusting. It's disgusting. They're killing our city. Disgusting.
Well, okay. So I think that there has to be something else, whether it is consumer affairs or whatever. So everybody put your thinking caps on, please. And with that, Jen, do we have anything else I have to worry about?
As far as renewals, no. Kind of adding a point to this conversation. I don't know if anyone would like to, or if Susan, you would like me to pull up the resolution from CB2. They make a point, this is just an idea. They recommend that the outdoor dining program fully transition to the Department of Consumer Worker Protection to manage the program because of the existing synchronicity. They're just making recommendations, and one recommendation was just transitioning to a program that could have stronger oversight. They do acknowledge that there's no strong coordination between the SLA and DOT, which I think we already mentioned in our own resolution. So
maybe you could send that to everybody, Jen.
Okay.
That would be better than pulling it up now. Let's send it to everybody and let everybody off the hook. How's that?
Okay.
All right. And then we'll talk about it at our next meeting. So do read it, please. And good night, everybody.
Sounds good. Thanks, Susan. Thanks, Jen.
Good night.
Thanks, Joel.
Everyone.
Jen. I couldn't live without Jen. I want you to know that.
Here, here.
Thank you all.
Jen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.